Story 1. My mother planned on retiring to Scotland, but now she doesn't think she will have enough. I would buy her a cozy cottage just outside Arbroath, the city where my great-grandfather lived. Story 2. Attorney, financial advisor, pay off debts, move out, invest the majority into index funds and bonds, and use it as collateral for loans if necessary, just like billionaires do. Story 3. $10 million is enough to live on for life. I would reach out to a lawyer to establish legal entities and an active financial planner. With the right arrangements in place, I should be able to live comfortably without worrying about money for the rest of my life, which could be 40 to 50 years. Story 4. Medical fund. Likely a residential house and lot, some portions allocated for savings, investments, and a small business. The remainder is designated for charity. Story 5. A small holding in a place where it is legal to grow cannabis, set up a small cannabis farm for myself with some chickens, barn cats, and ducks, and make a living that way, using the funds to finance everything in a way that incurs minimal monthly expenses. I want to live a simple life. Story 6. Groceries. It's not that I desperately need them. It's just the next thing I plan to buy. A 10 million prize takes 2 weeks to be cleared. After that, it will sit in my account for a few weeks, maybe months, until the excitement subsides and I can trust myself to start making rational decisions. That kind of life-changing opportunity will be grabbed with a firm grip. Story 7. I would invest in tax-free investments. I would reinvest half and the other half would be income. It would be tough, but I wouldn't touch the principal. Story 8. Something for my sister and brother-in-law. They have been very instrumental in my recovery from a stroke. Story 9. Houses for my sons and assisted living for my mother. A 1967 Impala Sports Coupe, white with red upholstery. Story 10. I'm not sure if I believe it just yet. I'll verify the information with the state and federal authorities, determine the actual amount I have, and then probably invest in a home that I really like. Story 11. Mutual funds can be a consideration. I would recommend consulting a professional. I aim to live off the returns and stay within my means. I would pass on the benefits to my children. I would not even purchase a new car. Story 12. I would prefer not to see this question in my feed almost every other day. It seems like a repetitive method for gaining karma. Story 13. A lawyer and a financial advisor. If I had to choose, I would pick a lawyer to ensure that I have my bases covered and avoid exposure. I do not feel like meeting any long-lost relatives or giving out loans to anyone. Once I accept the money safely, I use the financial advisor to invest the funds and return to work in my normal attire. Now I am ready to retire, but I will still wait until I am around 60. Story 14. A house, a car, a small business of my own, and then invest the rest of the money in the London Stock Exchange. Story 15. Save it. The recession is coming, and I am saving that money. If my immediate family has medical debts, I will pay those. Story 16. Don't buy anything. Figure out how to give it to those who need it more than I do, so they can also exist comfortably and sustainably. Story 17. I would pay off my friends' debts, donate $5 million to a children's hospital, and build a spacious cat shelter for all the strays in my area. I would also spoil my children and husband and show them the world. Story 18. An accountant will create a salary-based income in my field, and I will pay him accordingly. I will ask him to diversify my income by investing in popular stocks, but only with my approval. I also plan to pay off my parents' debt. Story 19. A plain-looking mid-size recreational vehicle and an enclosed trailer to pull behind it that holds some of my toys. Story 20. A group of Bitcoin miners is considered depreciable assets that reduce taxable income and convert the value into long-term capital gains. Story 21. A hospital. No more medical debt for me. I will also pay off my brother's medical debt because I dislike cancer. Story 22. I am putting a significant portion of that into college funds for myself, my future children, and possibly a trust to help build generational wealth. I may not live in wealth, but I can only hope my children will. Story 23. Immediately set aside $250,000 for each child for college or higher education. Then pay off debts and the mortgage. Sell current vehicles and purchase electric ones, as well as a recreational vehicle. Next, meet with a financial advisor for advice on how much to set aside or invest conservatively to ensure quality late-life care. Use the remaining funds to help our children buy their first homes, a reliable vehicle, and to travel. We will continue working to ensure the pension and retirement we had already planned to live on. Story 24. A property large enough to build 4 houses for my family, with plenty of space to run around, garden, and potentially have some animals. Story 25. Make sure my family and I never have to work again. So basically, hire a financial advisor for a day and educate myself on how money works. Build a system that generates around $200,000 to $300,000 a year for my family and me. Then I can start spending the money on a house, etc. Story 26. Eggs, and not just chicken eggs. If you come to my house and I have emu eggs, you will know I just came up. Story 27. A Reddit filter that removes questions about how you would spend a large sum of money. Story 28. Debts, truck, boat, in that order. Then I'm finding property, building a dream house, and never telling anyone where we move. Story 29. All of my friends have a Steam Deck. For bigger things, I would be helping more discreetly as money changes people. Story 30. A citizenship in a friendly country can be obtained after researching where the best balance of quality of life and overall living costs is. Money can stretch much further in some appealing small European towns than in the United States. Story 31. A new phone with a new number for everyone is what I want to know. A short-term lease on an apartment in a secure building is needed. Keep it hidden until the money has been deposited into properly secured accounts and a new property has been purchased. Story 32. I wouldn't buy anything until I knew exactly how to use the money in the best way possible. I know that would not involve a foolish house, car, or any other object that doesn't actually elevate me in any way other than making people care about me for my material possessions. I would give a portion of the money away to those I care about, and I would put the rest into something that lets me earn a lot of interest. I would live simply off of that interest and fully pursue my dreams, which are not financial, but the money helps. Story 33. I'd pay the sub-administrators to ban users who engage in karma farming like you. Think of something original or please leave for another platform. Story 34. If I won $10 million, the first thing I would do is invest it wisely to ensure financial security for the future. I would consult with a financial advisor to create a plan that would allow me to grow my wealth and achieve my long-term goals. Story 35. Board a cruise to a beautiful destination. Set up a home and settle in. Then send my wife a message, delivered personally by a messenger in a gorilla suit, who would simply wave at her. Wishful thinking. Story 36. A new daily driver. Then, I would pay off my modest house and put the rest in high-yield savings to live off the interest. I would retain my job, maybe buy or rent a house closer to work. But I would work 3 days a week or so. I would also donate for a new driveway, as my current car bottoms out. Story 37. A modest condominium up the street for my local children will help me sell my $800,000 home by the lake, which is paid off. I need to get that house ready for sale, ensuring college funds for all my grandchildren and making investments. Story 38. Depends on when I won the money. If I were in Toronto with my wife, I would take her to Yorkdale Mall and persuade her to window shop. After a quick tour around, I would buy everything she pointed out. If we were in Manhattan when I got the news, I would take her to Tiffany to get some of their Smile collection she has been eyeing. Story 39. Pay off debts. Invest $1 million in a private pension. Purchase a house. Buy a nice SUV and a sedan. Set aside some cash for a business. Take a long vacation. Once the business is operational and profitable, I plan to spend 4 months in the UK, 6 months in Africa, and 2 months traveling elsewhere. Story 40. After all the serious matters such as the lawyer, will, and planner, I am buying a used Lexus LS, a small house, the Omega Snoopy watch, and vacation items. See you later. Story 41. The houses around my neighbor's house have allowed the worst individuals to move in, so they can experience what it is like to have neighbors like themselves. Story 42. A small house in Canada so my two young daughters can grow up in a place where they still have their rights. Story 43. Another business opportunity. By combining it with my current one, I could potentially sell it for a nice profit. Story 44. Purchase my house, purchase my mother's house, buy an electric vehicle, all while reading that reply about lottery winnings and hiring a lawyer. The eventual plan is to set my mother and sibling up with a substantial amount of money, help a few close friends get settled, and then live off passive income. I might consider working part-time instead of quitting since I generally enjoy the work and it keeps my mind sharp, but I will probably quit altogether eventually. Also, many trips to Japan. Story 45. Investing in an apartment building, planning to be in great shape forever, working out, eating well consistently, opening a school for teaching hobbies, and starting a small mobile charity foundation. Story 46. Pay off my credit cards, buy a house and a car, repay my loan at home, purchase tickets for my parents for their trip to the United States, buy a ring for my girlfriend, buy a gaming PC, and hopefully invest in multiple businesses. Story 47. Boring answer. Financial advisor. Less boring. Pay off my mortgage. Answer you're probably looking for. First-class tickets to New Zealand. I'm assuming the $10 million is after taxes. I'm splitting it with the three people I love most, no strings attached. I'm young enough and not good with money, so that $2.5 million isn't enough to retire. I would probably become an independent contractor and work for myself until closer to retirement age. Story 48. Dinner. Then maybe a Toyota GR86 because I have been reading a lot about them. I have watched many videos about it. They look very fun to drive. Perhaps I should test drive one. Story 49. I would immediately call a lawyer who specializes in lottery winnings to find a way to claim it 100% anonymously. Afterwards, I would set up a financial advisor and then enjoy lunch at my favorite restaurant. Story 50. $10 million worth of dividend-yielding blue-chip stocks provides an annual income of $300,000 indefinitely. Story 51. My partner and I have often discussed acquiring a small piece of land with nice modern cabins and fenced yards. We envision a dozen or so separate cabins with a caretaker residing in one of them. The goal is to create a women's and family shelter, so individuals do not need to give up their pets when leaving abusive situations. Story 52. A charter flight is arranged to transport my dogs overseas, ensuring they are not frightened in the dark cargo hold during a lengthy journey. Story 53. I have always thought I would take a 10-day cruise if I won the lottery. I would want to get out of town, clear my head, calm down, and relax without doing anything crazy. Story 54. I assume this is after all the usual tax professionals, lawyers, and financial advisors that I would consult before buying a house. Story 55. I would first take my wife and kids on a small vacation to the beach. We would stay at a 3- or 4-star hotel overlooking the beach, ideally in an area where we can walk to shops and restaurants. We would swim in the ocean and pools, maybe near a water park. After that, I would pay off all debts and buy a reasonable home, possibly priced around $350,000. I would likely continue working so that all my money could go into investments to teach my kids how to save and invest. Story 56. Leaving the country and won't return until Donald Trump is out of office and an uncompromised president takes office again. Story 57. I would pay for whatever you need to ensure that I am set for the rest of my life, including legal assistance and financial advice. I might set aside $1 million to buy a house and some cars. Story 58. I will take my parents on a world tour. I will buy my dad a luxury car. The rest I will use to run for a parliamentary seat in my country. 10 million is a significant amount, and with that, I can possibly win the election. Story 59. The first thing I will buy is going to be something that's basically normal but not everyday, like a nice drink or pizza. Second, I will get a high-performance computer. Story 61. A house closer to my work. Pay off all debt. Buy a house in my country of origin. Invest in slow but steady gainers. Be even happier at my current job than I already am. Story 61. A large, covered, and heated pool with an ecological solar setup that is cost-effective is what I want. It also includes an impressive cleaning robot. You can keep the rest of the 10 million. I just want my pool. I have been working towards having one for 2 decades. I dislike public pools and want a pool at my home where I can swim every day and let friends use it. Story 62. A plane ticket so I can disappear somewhere else for an undisclosed amount of time. The last thing I want is people knocking at my door claiming to be family. Story 63. A lawyer and a financial advisor. I then go and collect the winnings based on their suggestions on how to do so. Assuming I take the lump sum up front, which is 10 million, and after capital gains, there is something like 6 million left after taxes. I then do the following. I pay off my car loan, which is 19,000 at 3%. I purchase a moderately priced house around 500,000. I invest an additional 50 to 100,000 into the house to ensure it lasts a long time by updating things like new carpets, refinishing floors, installing a new roof, repainting inside and out, changing all seals, and replacing any older pipes. I discuss my options for the money with the financial advisor and share my plans, deciding how much to allocate to investment accounts, how much to use for rental property, and so on. I would likely continue working just to stay busy and keep developing my skills in the field I enjoy. Story 64. Assuming that is after taxes are paid, call an accountant friend, then a realtor. Pay off debt and replace the car. Buy a 6-acre strip of flat land. Build 4 2-bedroom, 2-bath ranch-style homes with solar energy and 2-car garages. My parents will receive it for a low cost, and I will get it back when they pass. My sisters can purchase the other 2 for $25,000 each. Then I will quit, get my passport, and figure out my life, because this is not it. Story 65. A nice meal at my local Waffle House. I would treat everyone inside the restaurant and leave my server a generous tip. I am wealthy and I want to remain that way. Story 66. Pay off debts, buy a new Xbox, purchase all the Call of Duty games, move into a suitable house that is not expensive, pay off everything related to the house, and put the remainder into a savings account. Story 67. Pay down simple debts. I am owed more than I owe. Buy property for individuals I want to support a little. Invest to ensure the property is retained. Retain and invest. It's no longer in my hands. Live simply on about 3. Check out after that is spent. Mostly repeat that if I wanted that lifestyle. A few million seems like a lot. We can easily earn more and spend it without care. I am not telling anyone how to manage money. I am not great at it. Yet it can be beneficial to save and budget for the sake of goals. Cheers to everyone. I have a modified outlook and have seen another perspective. Story 68. Baking ingredients and supplies. I haven't had the money to buy more than necessities since moving out, and I haven't baked in so long. Baking is my passion, and I miss it. It would feel nice to get a chance to splurge on some fancier vanilla to indulge myself. Story 69. Probably a new truck. My truck isn't even 2 years old, but I've already put almost 50,000 miles on it. With that much money, I'd get a new one. Story 70. I would take my team out for a nice dinner. Then I would pay off my personal debt and my team's debt. I would invest $2 to $3 million in a stable way to provide a livable income for my wife and me. After that, money is power, so I would use it to help others. Story 71. The greasiest New York-style pepperoni pizza. This is probably my plan without the 10 million as well, to be frank. Story 72. A ferry ticket. Since I cannot collect my winnings from the island where I live, I need to go to Vancouver. Story 73. Get 40 different bank accounts and deposit $250,000 in each. This would generate approximately $40,000 to $50,000 monthly in interest, which would be the only amount I would spend. Story 74. My own house and a 1975 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray that I am most likely never going to drive because I do not want to drive. I want to travel the world. I am not sure what else to pursue since I have always been the frugal type. Story 75. Take all my cats to the veterinarian for dental care, laboratory tests, and any other necessary procedures. I would buy a house on some land and save the remaining funds. Story 76. Financial advisor, lawyer, and home-related equipment such as music devices, video games, comics, and cooking tools are what I want. Story 77. Buy my parents a nice small home where they live and pay for the utilities in advance for a few years. That will leave about 8.5 million or more to do other things. Story 78. Financial advisor. With that amount of money, you can easily live off the dividends. Investing 100% in JEPQ would produce $80,000 per month in dividends. Story 79. 20 acres of land will be used to build a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. The remaining land will likely be invested in an individual retirement account to grow funds. Story 80. Financial freedom, passports for my family, and hopefully permanent residence in Amsterdam for my family. I feel I have struggled in America. This situation is challenging. Story 81. I would invest this money in a business to make another 10 million. However, if the question is about the first purchase, I would buy at least 10 apartments and lease them out. Story 82. $10 million, and the first thing I would do is maybe enjoy a nice dinner date to celebrate, indulging in a wide selection of wines. The next day, I would invest in numerous index funds, consider purchasing a watch, start searching for a house, look at used Ferraris, and plan a decent-sized sailboat. Additionally, I would begin organizing a round-the-world trip. Story 83. The financial team consists of an advisor, an accountant, and a lawyer. Set up the funds, create the trusts, and then begin the investment process. Afterward, go on a holiday. Following that, start the construction of the Malibu Dream House. Story 84. Eye surgery for my little cousin is essential. He will never be able to drive without it. People think he is autistic because he is too embarrassed to look others in the eye. He is only 24 and has never had a serious partner. He lacks self-confidence despite being one of the most beautiful souls I have ever met. Story 85. Realistically, a nice dinner and great groceries will take some time to get my money. Story 86. The services of a top accountant are essential. That is not 10 million to spend. That is 10 million to grow. I want it doubled in 5 years. Story 87. Pay off my house, buy a bigger house, and move my parents into the current house. Fix up my parents' house and rent it out. Wait for my parents to pass away and rent out my current house. Use the equity to build a real estate portfolio. All in an effort to win a game of Monopoly against my sister. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.